What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 52 of the Game Room Podcast. I'm your host, Rome, alongside my co-host, Dev.
Hey, what's up?
Dev, how you doing tonight?
Tired as always.
Tired as always. All right, well, we're going to get into the headlines. We have a pretty interesting show lined up. We're going to be talking about the Xbox layoffs. We're going to be talking about IGN not getting review codes from WB, the Super Switch not going OLED, some Power World stuff, some Apple stuff, and yeah, let's get right into the headlines. Camera seems a little low res, just so you know.
Okay.
But yeah, we can get started while you're working on that. So a report came out this week, Dev. Microsoft laid off 1,900 employees. According to a new report from IGN, Microsoft cut 1,900 jobs from its video game workforce. Microsoft announced the layoffs in an official memo from Phil Spencer. IGN was provided with the full memo, which includes some careful elaboration. Spencer explains that Microsoft Gaming and Activision Blizzards are interested in an execution plan with a sustainable cost structure that will support the whole of our growing business. Spencer also mentions that we've set priorities, identified areas of overlap. This might signal which roles are affected by the layoffs. However, Spencer also states the company will provide full support to those who are impacted during the transition, including severance benefits. Spencer's memo compares the 1,900 layoffs to the total workforce of 22,000, but it is still a noticeable reduction. Since the Microsoft memo specifically mentions overlap, the layoffs may not affect too many titles in development. However, Microsoft did cancel Activision Blizzard's upcoming survival game, Project Odyssey. So, obviously, layoffs, we talk about them a lot here. We were talking about it before the pod went live. It has become a running gag almost, a running weekly occurrence where we're just talking about these layoffs. And layoffs obviously just absolutely suck. Just really terrible for them to happen. Just devastating news. We're going to talk a little bit more about the layoffs, but I wanted to get your kind of like 1,900 is a lot of people.
That is a whole lot of people. I read something that was like it's a whole division for that one game. Like they basically gutted that.
Odyssey,
they gutted that game and just that's a lot of people.
We're gonna dive a little bit more into where the cuts specifically came from, and we're gonna talk a little bit about Project Odyssey.
We also did know that there were going to be a lot of cuts beforehand. We knew that people were getting fired, but I thought it'd be more. We don't know who got fired. We just know that whole divisions got fired, but we don't know if it's like a hey, this is our company, we don't want this toxicity around, we don't know if it's a money thing. So
we it's funny because I'm actually like full day of podcasting for me because I was on Ty's podcast doing this, and then later I'm doing the Broken Tables podcast.
Oh, later on tonight.
Yeah, so okay. I'm full schedule today. But so I was on Ty's podcast earlier today, and we were talking about the layoffs and like Project Odyssey and just all the divisions and like where they come from. And It is a really complex situation because we had reported this earlier last year that Activision had said that if the deal didn't go through with Microsoft, they were going to lay off thousands of workers. So like we knew that these layoffs were coming one way or the other. So like, it doesn't make it any better.
No.
But we're gonna talk through some of
it.
And
it's way too early to. I think. They just acquired the company.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of changes. It's too early to say that they're not going to land on their feet. I think, you know what I mean? Like, it sucks. And it sucks for those people who work those jobs.
Yeah.
But like, I think Xbox as a company will be fine.
Activision Blizzard I don't think Xbox is in a bad place. I mean, it's funny because I forgot to point this out on Ty's podcast earlier, but like Xbox is still hiring. Like, they're hiring for Playground Games. Like, they're still hiring for positions.
Yeah.
We're about to get into the more details about the layoffs and like what was cut.
Okay.
But
I knew there was layoffs. I don't know any of the details.
I think you're going to kind of see some details here. So the following update came from Insider Gaming. The news surrounding the massive layoffs at Xbox and Activision Blizzard continues to trickle out after they were revealed Thursday morning. The layoffs, which include positions ranging from executive level to QA, have taken the gaming industry by surprise and remain the talk of the world. Now, a few hours later, there are new updates on what departments were impacted by the layoffs at Activision Blizzard and Xbox. Jez Corden of Windows Central reports that the entire internal customer support teams at Activision Blizzard have been let go, save for a few people. The plan is for Microsoft to begin outsourcing support to different companies. In addition, customer support layoffs. Corden says that Microsoft has shut down departments dedicated to bringing Xbox games to physical retail. The move signals that Xbox, or that Microsoft is set to move entirely away from physical media in the near future. More on that in a little bit. As of this writing, many of the employees of the company were continuing to learn that if they were part of the layoffs. So in terms of what parts were laid off,
so far, just with those, it sounds more like a company's vision type of thing. Like they're laying off people who are doing customer support. They want they want their own standard of customer support. They're laying off people who are doing physical sales. They're moving away from physical sales. So far, it sounds like it's just a company vision type of thing. It sucks either way. Like, I know you're not happy about the physical thing, and I know we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. So yeah, here's the thing, right? And I was talking to Ty again today. So if you look at these layoffs, and also Phil Spencer mentions that it was to cut out overlay. When Xbox bought Activision Blizzard, and something people aren't thinking about is that both Microsoft / Xbox and Activision Blizzard have people doing the exact same jobs in both of them. And so a lot of these cuts, from what I gather, most of the cuts were on the Activision side. Things like customer service cuts were made. The only game that was affected was Project Odyssey, which was ended. Now, here's some details about Project Odyssey.
I was going to ask you about that.
So it was a survival game. It was in development for about 6 years.
Oh, wow.
It had made multiple engine changes. So for me, and
this game is something that's been in trouble for a while.
Yeah. So
but 6 years of development, no matter how you look at it, is a lot of work.
It is, but at the same time, if you're... So a big thing that we talked about on Ty's Pod today was there is a cut between Xbox, the brand, and Microsoft, the corporation. Microsoft, the corporation, is going to go to Phil Spencer and say, okay, we just spent $70 billion on Activision Blizzard, where, like, I need you to cut X amount of dollars out of what you're spending.
You're right.
And so Ty made a great point also comparing Project Odyssey, and I'll ask you this question because I thought it was a really great point. I wish Ty was actually in the chat right now. He said that maybe Phil Spencer and Xbox looked at Project Odyssey and saw another Redfall situation.
That makes sense.
A game where they didn't pay it a lot of attention. They didn't pay it a lot of mind. It was already very far along when Xbox took over, and they kind of just let it coast to release, and it ended up flopping and really hurting their image. Do you think that that's a possibility?
Absolutely.
Especially keep in mind, making video games is hard. Changing an engine for a game.
You said multiple times too.
I think it was more. It was at least one.
Even if you do it once, that's a big thing. Like
that's remaking the whole game. Basically, it's not copy and paste. You're not like a lot of work went into it. So I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft looks at Project Odyssey and it's just like, we're gonna have to cut that. Like we're not happy with where it's at, or.
And I have to imagine like that's obviously not the only project that's being worked on at Activision Blizzard. Like they have plenty of options to go through. They have new IP now. They have old existing IP they can give to these companies.
Right.
I don't see it that for a customer or even for a company, I don't see it as a big loss. You know what I mean?
Right. So yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at with the layoffs. Like, again, and this is something I personally relate to as someone who's been laid off. Like, losing your job, and it's not your fault, sucks. Like it's one of the worst feelings in the world, and it's really devastating. But at the end of the day, like, I don't want to say that there is a way to have excusable layoffs, but these are ones where it's just like, okay, well, they can't have two departments doing the same jobs.
Yeah, it's kind of like last week. I don't remember the company, but they tried everything before they had the layoff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
we talked about them last week. Which company was it?
I don't remember what it was.
Riot Games.
Right, yeah. They tried everything before
we tried this.
Like, it's unfortunate, but it's going to happen, you know? Like.
And this is what happens when companies buy companies, though. It's like when a company buys a company, they let the company run for like a couple months. 3-4 months, they let it do its thing, they observe, they look at the trends, and then they make cuts. Like, it's just, I've seen it happen.
Every company,
It just happens. Obviously, again, not going to make light of it. It's just a terrible situation. But I don't think that this necessarily is, like, a bad sign for Xbox. I think this is just them. Obviously, for us, 1,900 people is a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just an ongoing trend in the games industry where like we were talking about Riot last week laid off a large number of people. Amazon has laid off a lot of people in the past year. Ubisoft, PlayStation,
Yeah, it's every company.
Embracer,
Yeah.
Epic laid off 17 or 16% of their staff. So it's like this is just continuing to happen, and it's really unfortunate to see.
Yeah. And it still feels like it's all the aftermath of that 2020, 2021 boom of gaming. And like,
Yeah, the COVID boom where everyone was in their houses. Yeah,
And
we talked about that as well today too. Yeah. So really unfortunate stuff there. Let's dive in a little deeper to Xbox reportedly shutting down its department dedicated to bringing games to physical retail. This comes from VGC. On Thursday, the company laid off 1,900 staff across Xbox, Bethesda, and Activision Blizzard. The cuts are believed to be wide-ranging, impacting various areas of Microsoft's gaming business, from customer service to development. Microsoft has also shut down departments dedicated to bringing Xbox games to physical retail, which, if you've seen the digital-only Xbox leaks, well, you can get the idea of where Microsoft is going here, according to Windows Central editor Jez Corden's sources. Legal documents leaked in September potentially laid bare key elements of Microsoft's gaming strategy for years to come, with the all-digital Xbox Series console, which we saw. So, obviously, the industry is trending to digital, which we've talked about, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not naive on that. I mean, I pretty much, I think I've been very honest with it.
Yeah, you don't like it.
No, I don't like it at all.
But yeah,
I'll continue not to like it.
Yeah.
Now, here's some things that I think a thought process. Could be possible that Xbox, so they laid off the physical retail team. Could it be, do you think maybe that like Activision also has a team and they were just decided they had to get rid of one of the teams doing the same work?
Because they already have their own.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a thought that crossed my mind, honestly.
That makes sense. But I do think it is more so that like physical is slowly but surely dying, and like there's always going to be companies like Larian or like Rockstar, I feel like, will do this. Like, you're going to be able to buy physical games and physical items. There's going to be like special edition that sells money. Of course, they're going to make that. I don't think that's ever going to go away, but I think the more general physical copies will probably they'll start to die off.
Yeah. So here's my thing, right? And like it's more of a hope, obviously, but I would like to see, even once more digital kind of makes its way into it, like I would like to kind of see gaming follow the music industry in a way where it's like you can go to a stores and like or online and buy like vinyls still.
Yeah, you're right.
So like I just feel like I hope that Xbox kind of understands that like there's a large portion of their, not a large, but there's a core audience for the physical releases. And even if it doesn't become the primary way to do it or like to consume the media, but like you see this being a push being made in Hollywood as well this past year, where it's like a lot of these big name directors are like, we need physical media and we should definitely not be getting rid of it.
Yeah.
And I would like to see that at least try to stay around in some capacity. Obviously, we don't know. This is kind of a wait and see type thing. I mean, obviously, we know that Hellblade 2 is going to be digital only. So that could be like kind of the first block for them. But
and I think when you have bigger games like Alan Wake, and I think Hellblade 2 is going to be a hit as well, if they're able to,
Well, no, Alan Wake 2 hasn't done well.
Oh, it hasn't done well?
No.
Yeah, sales-wise.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they said that Alan Wake 2's underperformed.
Yeah. I don't think it's because it's all digital though, because they underperform. I think digital is a lot more convenient, and people are the more casual gamers are just buying digital because they can play the game and be done with it.
Yeah.
They don't need to own it.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, we're gonna keep an eye on this. So I mean, we'll close on this for the topic. So do you think this impacts Xbox in a grand scheme of things? I mean, keep in mind they're still hiring for other projects. Like, there's still like. Do you think this is a negative impact for them in the long run?
The reason I don't, with the physical sales or
the layoffs. You could say physical sales as well, but layoffs is what my question was.
No, because there's so many gears in this machine right now, and like they just acquired. This is the biggest acquisition in I don't know how long, and like
ever.
Yeah, ever, and it's there's a lot of moving parts, and I don't think this affects it as much. I think Microsoft, we saw it during the acquisition, during the court stuff, where like they have a roadmap. They kind of know where they want to do and where they're going, and this is just all in part of the plan. You know, like none of this was something last minute.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, real unfortunate stuff. Just to stay on track real quick for the sake of the script. Also worth pointing out while we're on the discussion of layoffs that Black Forest Games this week also laid off half of their employees. Half. According to an updated report from Kotaku, developer Black Forest Games has been hit with layoffs, affected approximately half of its employees. Excuse me. Fans will recognize Black Forest Games for the remakes of the Destroy All Humans games, which not pretty good remakes actually. Not bad.
No, I've heard good stuff about them.
Yeah, they're good. I have both of them. The layoffs were reportedly announced on January 24th, but management has not provided a specific explanation yet. They stated that more information would be provided next week. Kotaku also reports that the creative directors and most, if not all, of the managers will keep their jobs. Currently, Black Forest Games... Oh, I didn't even realize they were the team working on this. Black Forest Games is working on the highly anticipated game adaptation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin. The game was first revealed in March 2023 as an action RPG. It will be an edgy alternative to the beloved Ninja Turtles. So this is actually a real big blow. I actually forgotten that they were the team working on The Last Ronin, a game that, I definitely had a lot of anticipation for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you talking about it, and I mean, who knows? Maybe the game is fine. Maybe they're laying it off towards the end of the gaming. I don't know.
Definitely something to be concerned about. So, those are the layoffs for the week.
The layoffs for the week.
See, that's as jokey as I'm willing to get with it. Like, I don't like getting much more jokey about it. Again, maybe it's because like I personally have experience with that, and maybe that's where it comes from. But it's just like I don't like joking about layoffs.
But it's just one of those things where like we already know, like we joke about it because we know we're going to talk about layoffs next week. You know what I mean? Like we just see where it's heading every single week.
Yeah, and like Ty and I were talking about this on his podcast. And I was just like, I'm always going to continue to report on them, even if it's like expected or whatever. And like I think the main reason because it's like these are like human lives, It's just like it may not be the most like exciting news, but it's still something very important happening in the industry.
Yeah. If it was, the thing is, I think the reason I give this more like I'm softer on this one is because we already knew what was happening at Activision Blizzard way before this whole like acquisition started.
Yeah.
And we knew that people were going to get fired because some of the things they were doing was completely unacceptable for a company. If you're going to run a company, you have to get rid of these people. You got to cut out that whole chain. Like you can't have that at your company.
Right. And no, and I don't disagree with you at all on that. For the record, it's just not great. All right, let's move on to number 2 on the headlines. Really interesting news coming out of IGN this week. It happened actually yesterday. And I kind of want to get your take on everything. So IGN put out an article saying, where's our Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League review? And again, this comes strictly from IGN. Suicide Squad's early access period will start to go live around the world late Monday night on consoles and Tuesday morning on Steam, which means that when it's officially out, that's when it's officially out, practically speaking. Unfortunately, we at IGN won't have a review of Rocksteady's new game as a service looter shooter for you right away, as codes have not been sent ahead of time. In fact, Warner Bros. Games informed IGN that it has declined to send us any codes at all. That's disappointing because we always strive to have a full opinion on a major game available for you at launch. But it's well within WB's right, as sending out review codes is neither an obligation nor something we take for granted. We will purchase our own copies and start our review in progress, guides, and other coverage the moment it launches. We'll have impressions up as soon as we can after that. Thanks for being patient. In the absence of a review, we suggest you check out our hands-on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League preview from earlier this month. While our previewer was optimistic about the potential of the story cutscenes and character builds he got a taste of, he ultimately left that session less impressed than he hoped he would be. Maybe the full game will fare better. So, a lot of IGN personalities took to Twitter yesterday.
Of course.
speaking on their displeasure of WB not giving review codes to them. So it's yet to be 100% clear the scope of WB not giving out review codes. We haven't had a lot of other outlets say that they are not getting codes or that they have codes. We don't know exactly the extent of any of that.
And I could be wrong, but isn't there going to be an open beta before the game, or is it a closed beta?
I believe it's an open beta.
Yeah, so
I could be wrong. Don't quote me.
Okay,
on that.
yeah,
I don't have that information in front.
Because I feel like if it's an open beta, then you can talk about the game. Anyone can just play it and talk about the game as they see fit.
Yeah. So, a few questions I have for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, number one, do you think IGN and other outlets, do you think they're entitled to review codes?
I don't think anyone's entitled to review codes.
Okay.
But if you're a company trying to sell a game, it is a fishy look to not give out review codes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, well, that would be my next question. Regardless of whether they're entitled to it, do you think a publisher is obligated to provide review codes?
No, again, I don't think they're obligated. It's just a bad look. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just a really bad look. When Cyberpunk didn't do it,
it's usually the signs of a bad game.
Yeah, it's usually a sign of something's going wrong behind the scenes.
Right. Well, so the big thing here, the theory is that IGN's preview was overly negative of the game, which is why WB did not give them a review code.
All right. They rather not have the bad press. I get it.
Right. So that was something that Ty and I had actually gone over a lot, not just on his podcast, but we were actually in Discord. We went back and forth for like a while.
I want to know what your guys' take on it, or what your take is on it.
Yeah. So my take is that I don't think that outlets like IGN or any outlet should expect codes.
I agree.
They should be grateful to get the codes that they get. However, on the flip side, now this might sound contradictory, but it's just how I feel. I do think that the publishers have a responsibility to provide review codes so that way customers can make educated purchases at launch.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, I don't think that anyone should be like, well, I should definitely get a code. It's like, that's an entitlement. No, you should not be entitled to the code. But I think that like Warner Brothers has a responsibility to its customers and potential customers to like not lie, right? And
okay.
I used the Avengers game as a great example where it's like, if you look at the promotional material for that Avengers game, that game looks so awesome. It took the first 6 hours of the game and like showed that off strictly. And like, man, this game looks so cool. But like, you need a reviewer or you need people to tell you like, hey, just so you know, that's like the first 6 hours. After that, the game changes exponentially to something that they're not showing you.
I don't. Just really quick. I haven't seen. I think this is new gameplay, and I haven't seen any gameplay for the game since this. I just pulled a B-roll because we're talking about it.
Sure.
To me, this looks fun. Like, I'm enjoying what I see here.
Mm-hmm.
It's. We only see one character, and like, yeah, he's flying around and stuff, but it seems. I don't know. This looks This looks like a lot of fun.
See, I don't think this looks very good,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Okay.
It's not a game that really speaks to me. It's not really interesting to me at all.
Okay.
So IGN didn't get their codes. So Ty had this crazy take, and I wish Ty was here because I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to go into detail about all his thoughts on it, but he said that he thinks that people should wait until... He said that reviewers should not be entitled to get the codes, but gamers should wait until the reviews come out post-launch to buy the game. Now, obviously, like, in a perfect world, that would... Sure, but... Like,
I think you can't expect people to do that.
Exactly. That was my point. Like, that just doesn't happen. Like, that's a hypothetical that just isn't realistic. Like, people are going to buy the game when it becomes available.
Yeah, and I think because like we've been talking about it since high school. Like, hey, stop pre-ordering games. Like, if you don't want this to happen to you, don't pre-order the game.
And I said no.
Yeah,
but I understand the risk.
Yeah, no,
like I'm a day one purchaser, but like here's the thing: when I buy games, I feel like I know enough about games. Like, because I read and I study and I look at stuff and I talk about stuff and I'm so in tune with it. Like, do I get it right all the time? No.
Yeah,
but I feel like I have a very good track record in terms of buying games day one. Like, the last game that really comes to mind that wasn't very good was Avengers. Like I feel like I've got a pretty good track record. But not everyone's like that, though.
I have a question for you. If you know for a fact that you're gonna you give this code to this company, and there is a very high percentage chance that they're going to talk shit on your game, and you're trying to sell this as a game.
Yeah.
do you still? Because I understand that you think they have a responsibility to not lie to their customers. But if you believe in the game that you're putting out and you like it, and another company doesn't, or like the reviewer that they have for that day or whatever doesn't like it, do you think they should still give a code to that person? Or to
that was another thing that we kind of talked at length on his podcast, where it, like,
because if I worked hard on something, I'm not going to give it to someone I know who's going to talk shit on it. You know?
So Ty used Bethesda as an example, right? Where it's like the IGN reviewer for Starfield said beforehand that like he had made a lot of like comments and like, why did they not have Ryan McCaffrey working on the Starfield review? Why did they not have him available for Starfield coverage?
They can't
like,
choose, I guess, right? They can't say I want Ryan McCaffrey.
No, IGN is the one that assigns.
No, I mean like Bethesda can't be like, here's a code, but I want this person to review it. Yeah,
correct. But IGN, they assign who they want. And like, here's the thing: like me, like everyone is biased. I have a bias, obviously, where it's like, no, I don't like IGN. Like I do not like them. I think that they have a lot of bias that shows very clearly. It gets to a point where when I look at IGN, either you're very incompetent or you have a really bad bias. And it's like, well, which is it at that point? Because you leave off Xbox, like games that come to multiplat, when you do a video hyping them, you leave Xbox off of games like that are clearly coming to Xbox. You guys like don't plan out your Starfield post coverage. You don't have your number one Xbox guy covering the biggest Xbox release in like a decade.
Yeah.
Like there's just so many issues that in instances that pop up where I'm left asking myself, like, what are you doing as a company? Like, are you actively trying to sabotage another company because they're not PlayStation, or are you just incompetent? Like it can be one of them.
Yeah, you're right.
It doesn't have to be that you're biased. It just means that you don't do a good job at covering Xbox. Like it's one or the other, honestly. And so for me, it's like there's a lot of gray areas, right? Where it's like,
I agree with
like,
that.
I want Bethesda to tell IGN to fuck off? Yeah, I actually absolutely would love for Bethesda to be like, we're not giving you a code to our next game because you've done nothing but poorly cover our games since we were acquired by Xbox.
And that could be what Warner Brothers is doing, you know, like.
And that's the thing. But the question is like,
is that fair? Is what you want to know?
Yeah, my question, and like it's more of a rhetorical question, but where's the line there? Like, okay, so like IGN previewed this game. Outside of a negative preview, has IGN really showed a negative bias or anything like that against specifically
WB,
Rocksteady, and WB games?
No, I don't think so.
And I don't think so. I would answer that question. No, I don't.
If anything,
so.
I think Rocksteady is a more like high-end
beloved
developer.
Yeah, for sure.
We want them to succeed.
Right. Well, I want all developers to succeed.
Yeah, that's true. But like, this is one of those like feel-good companies. You know what I mean? Like, we love the Arkham games. We like what they do. We like the Mordor games.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just there's a lot of gray in this conversation.
And I guess again, and Ty does have a point where maybe people should just wait for a game to come out, wait for some reviews, wait for some feedback.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Again, it's all someone else's opinion that you're thinking of, but like at least you get an idea of the game. Like to me, like I said, this looks fun to me. It's like Borderlands and Sunset Overdrive vibes like mixed together. I like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, next week we're gonna get a lot of answers. We're gonna find out if other outlets didn't receive review codes. We're gonna find out if people like Suicide Squad. It launches next week.
I have more faith in this than I do Skull and Bones. I'll say that.
That's a great hypothetical. Which one do I have more faith in? Oh man, I don't know.
Yeah, it is a hard choice.
That's a tough question.
Just from what I'm seeing here, I have more faith in this than I do Skull and Bones.
They've
already set out a roadmap for like 4 updates this year. Like this game.
I guess more functionable. Yeah, I guess this game. I just don't. I don't know. I think that Rocksteady is making a game that people just don't have any interest in playing. I think last year was a big shift for this kind of game in a negative way, where like people just last year made it really clear they don't want to play these games. At least in my opinion.
I think it just has to be more. You have to stick with it. If you're going to do a service game, you have to serve.
So here's something actually I wanted to bring up to you, and I'm actually going to, on camera, slightly amend my take on live service games.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about it, and I think Sea of Thieves is a fantastic looking game. It's a live service game.
But they stuck with it. That's the thing. If you're gonna make a live service game, you have to.
I don't think it's that. I don't think that's what the thing is.
Think about this. Halo Infinite came out. It was like massive when it came out. Like just the multiplayer itself, and then they stopped doing updates. They stopped giving maps that you already have. Why is Forge taking so long? Why, like, it took till now, till what, December, November, where it was like season 5 came out, and now people are talking good about your game. You can't do that if you're gonna have a live service game. You have to stick with it.
So the reason I think, well, I don't disagree with that point. Here's something that I think about, because again, I was thinking about this. This was a, I don't want to go as extreme as saying it was an epiphany, but I was like, well, maybe live service games can be good. Because I was like, Sea of Thieves looks like a great game, and it's going strong. 11 seasons in, and it seems like it's doing well, and that's a live service game. Oh, there he is. Buenos dias. Hello, Ty. We were talking a lot about you. More so the pod that we just did a couple hours ago.
You put words in your mouth. I just want to let you know I took it with a grain of salt because we both know how Rome is.
I did not put. No, I didn't.
You're like, Ty said this, and I'm like,
well,
okay.
What did I say? So you can get Ty's official.
Just about like.
No, but like, what specifically did I say? I don't think I took anything out of context. I really don't.
No, it was just Ty thinks. Well, he said that you think that people should wait till games come out with reviews already before you buy games.
He definitely said that. Yes.
Okay, that's all.
But anyway, so with Sea of Thieves, I look at it as like. It's a unique kind of game, and that's why it works as a live service game, as an ongoing game.
Yeah, I agree with
like
that.
When I look at Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, honestly, it looks very generic outside of like the characters being DC characters. Like this game, I swear to God, it looks like 5 other games that I've seen over the past like year and a half.
I won't deny that. Yeah.
And I think that at the end of the day, like people just don't want to play this same cookie cutter game. Ty, now I want to go back here to the juicy bits.
There's nothing really bad.
No, it wasn't, Ty. I was just we talked about the Xbox layoffs already, and I basically mentioned the conversation we had earlier a lot. So, you can always go check it out after we're done, though.
I do agree with you that a lot of the gameplay stuff I'm seeing now looks like stuff from other games.
Yeah, I
like these kind of games though. That's the thing. I like The Division. I like Destiny. I like Borderlands, and this kind of feels like all of those games.
I just think it's crazy that Rocksteady went into the lab for 9 years and then came out and it's like, hey, here's this. It's like, oh wow.
I'm gonna wait.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we don't have to wait long. We're gonna find out next week.
Yeah, like I said, I have more faith in this than Skull and Bones, but we'll have to wait for that too.
Maybe we'll talk about Skull and Bones in a little bit.
All right.
Let's move on to number 3. Oh wait, but would you agree with Ty's sentiment and my sentiment? Fuck IGN. Don't feel bad that they didn't get codes.
No, I don't feel bad.
Okay, good.
Again, I don't think anyone's entitled to game codes.
I agree with that. Again, I just think that there's also publishers have a responsibility for their consumers.
It's funny because like if Nintendo stopped giving out codes to everyone, we wouldn't even bat an eye. You'd be like, okay, that's Nintendo.
I would still be like, you should give out codes. I mean, I would still assume that their games are going to be good.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't be concerned about the quality of the game, but I would definitely be like, well, that doesn't really seem right. What Metacritic do you guys think for Suicide Squad?
I like this question.
63.
I'm going to say 71.
That's believable. I could believe that.
Actually, I'll say 75. I think Skull and Bones would be like a 69, 68.
I think 63 for Suicide Squad. 50 for
Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones, yeah. Okay.
Write this down, Ty.
Yeah, write this down.
You heard me?
Yup, we're doing a show. Anyways, the Super Switch, number 3 on the headlines. The Super Switch will have an 8-inch LCD screen, claims an analyst. Successor to the Nintendo Switch will have an 8-inch LCD screen and will be released this year, it's claimed. Japan-based Omida analyst Hiroshi Hayes says the next console will be the main reason for doubling of shipments in amusement displays in 2024, Bloomberg reports. According to Bloomberg, Hayes is an analyst who focuses on small and medium displays and makes annual forecasts on their shipments based on checks with companies in the supply chain. Hayes is therefore well placed to having an understanding on the display market, leading extra credibility to his claim. If the claim of an 8-inch screen turns out to be true, it will mean the successor to the Switch will feature Nintendo's largest display yet. However, it will be an LCD screen, not an OLED screen. So Dev, this is something that doesn't really matter to me at all. My Switch stays docked, and my Super Switch will also remain docked.
That's true.
How do you feel about the size of the screen and also LCD instead of OLED?
The size of the screen is perfect. 8-inch screen for the Switch. I love that. I wish it was LED. I really wish it was an LED screen, but it's fine. It'll be fine. You can still play games on it.
Yeah.
I don't know what else more to say. I wish it was an LED screen. I'd pay the extra, $50 or however much for an LED screen, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to see. Again, this news didn't really mean much to me. I wanted to include to get your takes, though, because you play on the go much more.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just... All right, anyways. Let's move on to the next in the headlines. Pal World. We got some updates. Pokemon Company put out a statement. Inquiries regarding other companies' games. We have received many inquiries regarding another company's game released in January of 2024. I like how they don't even name drop it. It's just like, we've heard about this other game. We have not granted any permission for the uses of Pokemon IP or assets in that game. We intend to investigate and take appropriate measures to address any acts that infringe on intellectual property rights related to the Pokemon. We will continue to cherish and nurture each and every Pokemon in its world and work to bring the world together through Pokemon in the future. The Pokemon Company. So, Devereaux, do you think Pokemon's gonna sue?
Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, I don't see why not. Whether they'll win or not is a whole different thing, but I don't see why you don't fight. Just simply because of how much money it's making in the obvious comparisons to your IP. What do you think?
I think it's going to be an interesting precedent if they do sue. I mean, they're going to lean on the AI argument a lot.
I don't think AI is at fault here, simply because you can't really... If we plagiarize something, we can't blame it on a pen.
I mean, that's great. That's Brown Lucario.
Yeah, no, it is. It's absolutely. But you can't... They still put in the description, and they still downloaded it, and they still uploaded it to their
Pokemon that
game.
looks like Lucario.
Yeah, exactly.
A brown Lucario.
Yeah, you can't blame the pen for you plagiarizing. It's one of those things.
All right, well, keeping with the Pal World news, Pocket Pair, the developer, has published Pal World's early access roadmap, which is viewable below in this article. They're going to be addressing some critical issues. Planned future updates include PvP,
That's
raid
straight
bosses.
up a Staraptor, by the way. Like,
yeah, I thought you actually had Pokemon going for a second there. that is absolutely
Staraptor versus Lapras going on right now.
No, that's a Militech.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's a Militech. Wait, go ahead.
A shiny Militech, I guess. So things that are going to be added to Pal World, future plan releases, PvP, raid bosses, the Pal Arena, which is PvP for pals or Pokemon battles, Steam Xbox crossplay, various Xbox feature improvements, server transfers and migrations, improvements to the building system, new islands, new pals, new bosses, new technologies. Pal World had surpassed 8 million sales on Steam, I want to say Thursday night. We didn't get it. I don't think we've got an update over the weekend, at least that I've seen. And then it's currently the #1 game on Game Pass being played.
Okay. I've heard some people who played it who, like, time just flies when you're playing the game. Like, and I don't know if you probably already seen the RCD World War.
Oh, yeah, I was going to show it to you.
Yeah, I saw that. I loved it.
It's like, you don't have a case.
I love the part where he's just trying to make the argument with his hands, and it's just...
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's great.
Because
it is true. Like, I feel like a lot of their player base is people who love Pokemon. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
Yeah. But, I mean, we'll keep an eye on Pal World. Obviously, the smash hit of 2024 to date. Number 5 on the headlines. Apple is opening its App Store to game streaming services. Starting last week, Apple is opening up its App Store to allow game streaming apps and services. This means that services like Xbox Cloud Streaming, GeForce Now, which previously were only accessible on iOS via a web browser, will be able to offer full-featured apps. Developers can now submit a single app with the capability to stream all of the games offered in their catalog, Apple wrote in a blog post. These changes apply worldwide, according to the company. Dev, do you think that this will put a wrench in Xbox's mobile marketplace plans? Because obviously Xbox wants to have a mobile store.
No, they want this. I think this is a big deal for them.
It is.
They've been fighting for a while. And we talked about this. I don't know if it was on the pod or not, but we talked about this maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
When it first got denied. Apple has a policy where you can't have a service, you can't have an app that has different rating apps inside of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that's what service apps, especially gaming, is. So like them going back on that is it's huge for Xbox. I think they want this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is another thing that's just on plan for Microsoft. This is what they want.
Yeah, it's big news for them and the Xbox ecosystem and their whole vision. It's great. It's great for them. They're gonna be more available on more platforms. So
Yeah,
it's definitely a win for them. Next up, we had a new update for the PlayStation 5. According to platform holder version 24.01-086000 is out. I didn't realize that PlayStation had that many numbers on their versions for updates. They've added new features in parties. In the parties tab, you can see a list of the parties you've joined in the past. Easily, you can restart a party by selecting it from the recent list. PlayStation's also updated the device software for Pulse Explore wireless earbuds. You can now use the sound equalizer feature on the earbuds. You can now use the side tone feature, which makes it easier for you to hear your own voice in chats. When you have Pulse Explore wireless earbuds nearby, a notification will now appear to let you connect them quickly. You can now easily switch the connection from PC to PS5 through this notification. They've also improved software performance stability, and they've improved the messages and usability on some screens. So it's nice PlayStation fixing up the parties. That was always something that I think PlayStation really lacked in over Xbox was like their party system. I know in recent years they've definitely made a push to be a little bit more competitive with them. So Good for them on that. Number 7 on the headlines, Dev. We may be getting some news very shortly for Death Stranding 2. According to a new report from Bill on Deal Labs, another announcement for Death Stranding 2 is coming soon, possibly within the next 15 days. The report claims they are 100% sure of the announcement. It also suggests that Death Stranding 2's new reveal could line up with PlayStation's upcoming State of Play. This would be really good to hear for PlayStation to get a State of Play out there. Obviously, Xbox has really dominated the news cycle, both good and bad, for what feels like forever.
The first month, yeah.
Not even just the first month this year, but it feels like forever. And then Nintendo's going to be dominating the news cycle as well. So I really think PlayStation needs to come out, and even if you don't have a lot to show, try to have some sort of presence, because this is a big year for Xbox and Nintendo.
Yeah.
And if PlayStation's not careful, people are not going to talk about them this year.
I think I can say this now, just in January. Like, sure. I'm going to throw this out there. I do think it's going to be a quiet year for PlayStation, especially when you have Microsoft and mostly Nintendo going to be making a lot of noise this year. I think you let them have this noise. Maybe you dig your toes in and work on what you have to, do better next year. But I do think it's going to be a quiet year for Sony.
Yeah, I think especially in terms of first party support. If you're talking about like the exclusives that they sign, I think they have some. I mean, we're going to talk about it next week because I was looking at the game releases. They are really blowing their load in February.
Okay.
They have 3 console exclusives coming in February.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know why they did it that way.
Yeah.
They have Helldivers 2. They have Foam Stars, both launching a day apart.
Yeah, you should definitely.
I don't know why they did that. And then Final Fantasy Rebirth comes out next month.
And I do think all 3 of those games will be fine. I think they're going to be fine. I think people are going to play those games.
But it's very weird for them to just be like, hey, it's February. Let's just throw all our games out there.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, so.
I don't think it's a bad thing that they'll be quiet this year, though, because we've had a lot of quiet Xbox years, and we're always saying, like, next year's the year, and, like, they always put out something next year, but it's like, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing.
So I'm going to make a prediction right here that Death Stranding 2 will be part of a PlayStation State of Play sometime over the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
It will happen on a State of Play that will happen on the same day as a Nintendo Direct.
All right.
Remember this.
Okay, I will.
Remember this.
That's funny.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's funny because I can see it happening.
It's happened like
twice.
The last 2 years they've had like PlayStation State of Plays and Nintendo Directs on the same day for like, and like, there's no way that these companies aren't planning this out.
Yeah.
Or it's like maybe PlayStation is like Nintendo announces one, PlayStation's like go. You can't just let Nintendo have this day.
Yeah.
But we'll keep an eye out on that. Maybe we'll be talking about Death Stranding 2 this time next week. Number 8 on the headlines. Nintendo has confirmed that the 3DS and Wii U online play will be shutting down. The company had said previously it planned to end the services in early April 2024. However, Nintendo posted on Twitter last week that it will happen on April 8th at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. As of 4.8, online play and other functionality that uses online communication will end service for the 3DS and Wii U software. Thank you very much for your continued support of our products, says Nintendo. Ty says if it comes out in 2024, that's good for Sony. Anyway, yeah, so Nintendo is closing down the online services for the Wii U and 3DS. A sad day.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the Wii U was a failure. So, number 9 on the headlines, Devro. It's happening.
There it is.
It's happening.
It's coming.
It looks like Skull and Bones will actually release next month. It has been delayed more times than any other game in history. That's a claim from Insider Gaming. I don't know if that's true or not, but I believe it.
I believe it too.
Maybe Duke Nukem Forever. Being pushed back time and time again by Ubisoft with tweaks, updates, and changes being made to the product over and over and over again. The latest release given to the pirate-based multiplayer epic is February 16th, 2024. And all signs point to the game being successfully released on that day. Finally. We're in the end game. It is an open beta being held for Skull and Bones between the 8th and 11th of February, with all comers being invited to try out Ubisoft's seafaring adventure. And then they also put out a roadmap, I believe. No. I thought they did. I thought I read that they did. Regardless, it's coming, Devro. Skull and Bones is coming.
Yeah.
Will it be a good game? Gut feeling right now.
Just a yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game.
Okay, I don't think it'll be a good game.
Okay.
Ty asks, what's our favorite Nintendo handheld? Ty has great memories with the Game Boy Advance, but the DS is a close second with some amazing games. Oh, boy.
I think the DS wins it out for me. I think it's, for me personally, no competition. I think the DS.
So I'm going to cheat here. There's a way to cheat this.
DS was the first console.
So
the DSi was the first console I bought with my own money. Like, first console.
So the DS, the early versions of the DS had Game Boy port.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with that DS because I can play the
First
Game
one?
Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, DS games.
I was given my first DS, the gray one, you know, like the bulky one with the speakers, as a gift. And I've been hooked ever since. And I think Switch comes a good second, but yeah.
I guess the Switch. I don't count the Switch as that's a hybrid.
It is a hybrid, but like I play it handheld. Like
I don't play it handheld. To me, it's not a handheld. It's not a handheld console. I sit down on this TV and I play it on this TV.
I lay in bed and I just play like
Zelda
hours and hours of Nintendo games.
If I weren't to cheat though, if I was told I can't cheat, I think I still take the DS.
Okay.
Because I think
that's not even cheating. It's just that's what the console is. You know what I mean? Like
it's that's a really tough one though because it's like
even if I was only playing DS games, like the catalog for
I think the DS has the best Pokemon games because I could play Heart Gold, Soul Silver on the DS, and like that's the best Pokemon game.
There's great Zelda games too.
Yeah, the DS Zelda games are fine. I like the 3DS in terms of Zelda games because it's got Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask 3D.
Are you separating the DSs in generations? Because I kind of count it all as one.
I count all DSs and then 3DSs are different.
Okay, I count it all as one.
So you count the 3DS and the DS together?
Yeah, 3DS.
Oh,
DS,
then yeah, then
and
it's the
DSi.
DS. It's easily the DS.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily. The 3DS I think is different for me because it's different cartridges. That's how you tell it's a different generation.
Okay, that's
like
fair.
the DS and the DSi had the same cartridges.
But you can play DS games on the DS side.
On
or the 3DS.
You can.
Yeah, so that's why I count it.
Yeah,
as...
but then you lose the Game Boy port, so it's like. But the 3DS had the Game Boy games. Okay, I'm changing my answer. 3DS, final answer, locking it in because the 3DS had the Virtual Console for the Game Boy games, and then it played DS and 3DS games.
Yeah, I'll stick with 3DS games because once I started getting into DS, I kind of moved away from the cartridges and just I was just playing DS and 3DS games. So yeah, that's my favorite handheld.
Yeah. But anyways, Skull and Bones. Devo, I really think you should review Skull and Bones for us.
If I play it, yeah,
I think you should. I think you should make Deborah. You've been the guy waving the flag for this game.
The black flag.
Yeah, the black flag specifically.
Yeah.
I really think you should. You should definitely buy this game and review it. I would like to see that. But let's move on to actually good things. Number 10. Nintendo will be streaming Zelda and Splatoon concerts on YouTube next month. The concerts were supposed to take part of the Nintendo Live 2024 events, which were going to take place in Tokyo on December 16th, 17th of last year and January 20th, 21st of this year. However, if you recall, we reported this, they canceled those events due to safety concerns. So, the fear of others is going to be our benefit because we're going to get these concerts on YouTube. Nintendo of America put out this tweet saying, "Mark your calendars for this special The Legend of Zelda Orchestra concert. Visit our official YouTube channel on February 9th to watch the full pre-recorded performance." And then they also tweeted, "SRL stage management here," this is Splatoon, by the way. "The show must go on. The Splatoon 3 Deep Cut concert, previously scheduled for Nintendo Live 2024 Tokyo, will be held on February 10th. It will be posted on Nintendo's official YouTube channel so you can watch at home." This is great. This is awesome. Like, I'm not happy that the safety concerns happened.
Yeah.
But, like, we're getting some Zelda music, Splatoon music, which underrated. Splatoon music's
pretty good.
It's very good.
Yeah, I can't deny that.
So I'm definitely going to be watching or listening to both of these performances. Number 11 on the headlines, Xbox it's not all bad Xbox news this week.
Okay.
Xbox is making a further attempt to help showcase indie developers with its new Indie Selects program. Following comes from the Xbox Wire. Xbox has been helping bring amazing indie games to Xbox gamers for a decade now, and we've always strived to find new ways to highlight our favorites. We've sponsored our own dedicated showcases, featured rad games and creators in our E3 briefings and Xbox showcases. Name drop for E3. Pour one out. We have an awesome ID at Xbox community team, and we run monthly ID at Xbox theme sales. To build on that legacy, we're excited to announce that we found a new way to bring attention to some of the top indie games on Xbox through our new Indie Selects program, which launches today, or last week. Indie Selects includes a curated, dedicated collection to the Xbox Store featuring indie games chosen by the ID at Xbox team, along with support on our social and community channels, and even right here on the Xbox Wire. In the game section of the Xbox dashboard, we now have the permanent hub that showcases indie games we are passionate about. A new collection featuring various channels and rotating themes will go live every Wednesday. The first channel is simply called Featured Indies. Includes recent indie games that the ID at Xbox team recommends. There are games they've played and liked, and they feel positive indie game fans will enjoy too. They're not including titles that are in Game Pass here, even if they are fantastic, simply because they're already being featured in the Game Pass hub.
Okay.
They're also going to be having things like a weekly theme, things like games to play with your cat, games that need a laugh track, or games for evil villains. You'll find them all there. Xbox is also working on a bunch of different fun ideas for themes right now to roll out over the coming months, and they will be taking suggestions for themes moving forward on their social channels. So it's really cool to kind of get the community involved, like, you know, hey, submit a theme for the indie games and we'll show you what indie games match the theme. They're also going to be doing like a indie select, like best of, where the ID at Xbox team will vote on indie games and kind of push those forward. All in all, a really cool little program they're going to be doing to kind of help indie game developers get showcased on Xbox. Number 12 on the headlines. Not news. Not really news. But something that I thought was very interesting. Deborah, researchers at Stanford University have discovered that people who played Pokemon as children in the 90s might just share a small region of their brain where all of that information is stored. As reported by Ars Technica, a recent paper published in the scientific journal of Nature and an accompanying YouTube video, if you prefer that to reading, breaks down the results of an experiment that compared the brains of people who played a lot of Pokemon in their childhood, around 95 to 98, with people who don't know Pokemon at all. When shown images of Pokemon from the original Game Boy game mixed in with other stimuli, a specific region of Pokemon players' brains lit up instantly in response to Pokemon. That means that the information is stored in the same part of the brain across all, or at least most people who shared the similar experience. The researchers partly attribute this to the consistency of how people that age were playing Pokemon at the time, with the Game Boy being very small and a child's arm length being relatively similar distance to their face, which is really fascinating. Researcher Jesse Gomez explained, if you look at Pokemon... Oh no, an ad just popped up. If you look at Pokemon... Damn you, IGN. They just ruined everything. IGN just had an ad, push everything down. If you look at Pokemon, they're very small, and you use your central vision, so they land in a part of the center of your retina. He compared that to when you look at something like the room around you, which will go across more of your retina, because they have different locations of your retina, Gomez continued. They have different locations in your brain, and it turns out that the Pokemon region emerges in a part of your brain that responds to information at the center of your retina.
That's pretty cool.
I think it's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I also find it very that makes sense. I can't remember the most, my wife could tell me what we're having for dinner tomorrow. I'll be like, oh, okay, great. But if you ask me what level Charmeleon evolves at, 36. Learns Flamethrower at 45.
That's funny.
That changes from gen to gen. That's definitely not right anymore.
There's an asterisk there.
Yeah, a big asterisk. It definitely, I think. But, it's just...
Well, that's cool.
It's what moves does Charmeleon? Does I don't know, Gengar learn? That's a trick question. Gengar doesn't actually learn any moves. You got to teach him all his moves before you evolve him. But yeah, so I thought that was a really cool thing I wanted to include. That just in our brains, in the same place somewhere, that's where the information for Pokemon is stored. It's a Pokemon part of our
section
brains.
of our brains, yeah, that we all share if you played it.
You know those old pictures where they show the brain and it's all sectioned off.
Yeah,
to
there's
what
a Pokemon.
It's a little square right here. It's like Pokemon. Staying on the topic of Pokemon, number 13, Poke thieves have been caught and suspended. 4 Van Gogh Museum employees were suspended after the Pokemon exhibit Chaos, after one allegedly embezzled a box of cards. The 4 museum employees of the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam were suspended due to misconduct during the exhibition last year. Though the museum did not confirm the number of employees involved, it confirmed security guards and public service employees were suspended in mid-December for not adhering to the procedures and codes for conduct for staff. Sources at the museum told Dutch site Het Parool that at least 4 employees were involved. One employee allegedly embezzled a box of Pokemon cards, while others informed visitors when they could purchase tickets to the exhibition. Spokesperson for the museum confirmed to Het Parool the employees will not return to the museum. One of those involved worked at the museum for 25 years.
Damn.
These damn Pokemon thieves, Devro. It's real. It's a real...
Team Rocket is out here.
That's what I'm saying. So, I thought that was also kind of a fun little story to include as well.
Yeah.
Let's round out the headlines with number 14. Now, Deborah, the day before, we talked about the day before.
Mm-hmm. When did we talk about it?
The day before this one.
Okay.
the show before. I actually want to show you a whole video about the Skill Up did a really good video. I'll have to show it to you.
Okay.
But anyways, the developer's back, and they're claiming that the day before was a victim. They were the victim here.
I heard about that.
Of a hate campaign carried out by certain bloggers who profited from being deceptive. The claims were made as part of a wider defense of its working practices in the controversial game, which had its servers closed this week, less than 2 months after its release. Fantastic said it wanted to release an official response addressing a lot of misinformation that had been spreading online recently. The studio announced its closure in December, just 4 days after the release of the day before, saying the game had failed financially and it lacked the funds to continue. Billed as a post-apocalyptic open-world MMO survival game set in the U.S. following a deadly pandemic, the game was mired in controversy for much of its known development. A perceived lack of transparency from Fantastic which was seemingly hesitant to show off the game at length, along with the revelation that the title was being largely developed by volunteers, and accusations that promotional materials included ripped assets from several other games led to skepticism that the product would live up to the hype generated by its initial reveal in 2021. Let's see, I'm trying to get to another ad. Whoops. Once the most wishlisted game on Steam, it suffered multiple delays, including a lengthy holdup blamed on a trademark dispute, before finally releasing last month to mostly negative user reviews and accusations of false advertising. Quote, certain bloggers made huge money by creating false content with huge titles from the very beginning to gain views and followers, exploiting the lack of information about this game's development, Fantastic claimed. Their actions triggered a gold rush among content creators due to the game's pre-release popularity. On the subject of what was promised and what was delivered, it claimed, we implemented everything shown in the trailers, from home improvements and a detailed world to off-road vehicles. We only disabled a few minor features like parkour due to bugs, but plan to include them in the full release. Remember the experiment when you're asked to count pink objects in a room and then recall the blue ones? You won't remember any. It's all about focus, Fantastic continued. The negative bias instilled by certain bloggers making money on hate affected perceptions of the game. Look at the unbiased gameplay, like Dr. Disrespect's stream at release. Okay. Despite the initial bugs and server issues, he liked the game, which we fixed later, and the game received improved reviews over the weekend. Unfortunately, the hate campaign had already inflicted significant damage. We are not a fly-by-night company. We have been operating since 2015 and have always conducted our business honestly. Since 2021, we've had a New Zealand venture called Maitana Fantastic and a successful game, Prop Night, which has sold almost 1 million copies, it added. Prop Night also co-financed the development of The Day Before. Its statement concluded, we are grateful to all the senders of mails who expressed support and appealed not to give up and continue to work. Finally, we encourage you to subscribe our social networks so you know what will happen next. Devereaux, was The Day Before a scam?
I don't know. So the thing is, I do think hate campaigns, or whatever you want to call it, I do think those things exist in a way. I do think, like, you get review bombs all the time, like, just for console war stuff, or just, like, like, just little dumb things. The thing is, people bought your game, didn't like it, and returned it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that happened a lot and a lot and a lot. So I don't think, I didn't play the game, but if someone bought your game and returned it, that means a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yep. I don't know. I think it's still I think it's a scam.
Whether or not it's a scam or not, it's just not a good game. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a good game.
Yeah. All right, well, that's going to do it for the headlines. Let's dive into the game releases for the week of January 29th. Coming up first on the 30th, Rugby 24. Comes out on PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Blaze Blue Entropy Effect comes out on PC on the 31st. Song of Nunu, a League of Legends story, comes out on PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, and Xbox One on the 31st. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink comes out on PS5, PS4, and PC on February 1st. That's another PlayStation exclusive. They have 4 of their exclusives coming out in the same month.
That's insane.
One Punch Man World comes out on PC, iOS, and Android on February 1st.
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, thank you. Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash comes out on PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on the 2nd. Persona 3 Reload comes out on PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Game Pass on February 2nd. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League comes out on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC on February 2nd. And Vampire the Masquerade Justice comes out on PC on February 2nd. Deborah, what's your pick for the week?
It might be an obvious one, but Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. That's my pick of the week. I think it'll be okay.
I don't think it is.
I know.
My pick of the week is going to be Persona 3 Reload. It's a game that Persona is a series that I really want to get into. There's no shot I'm going to have a chance to play this week because I'm going to be trying to wrap up Final Fantasy 16.
How have you been enjoying that, actually? I know you're gonna do.
I was gonna close the
in-depth
show
thing.
with it. I was
Okay.
gonna close the show a little bit, kind of like what we're playing. But I mean, we're at the end. I gave my pick. You gave your pick. So Final Fantasy 16 is what I'm playing right now, and I really like the narrative and I like the world that they created. At the end of the day, it's not a JRPG, which is what I want out of Final Fantasy. It is an action game. It's not an RPG. I do find the combat to be a little monotonous. I'm kind of just finding myself tapping buttons and just I have YouTube videos playing when I'm playing the game just because I'm just so uninterested in the combat. But I like when the cutscenes come on, YouTube video gets stopped because
Okay.
I'm really liking the narrative and the story, and I think it's really cool. I think the game looks beautiful. It's a gorgeous looking game.
Is it the same gameplay from from part one?
Part one of what?
Of
Not Final Fantasy VII remake. No, I'm talking about 16.
oh, you're talking about 16.
Yeah,
Okay,
remake doesn't come out until next month.
So it's not the same gameplay. It's just all action.
No. So Final Fantasy VII remake, while it does have some action elements to it, I would say it's definitely much more aligned with a JRPG. At least my opinion. It's not like a turn-based RPG or anything like that, but I think the remakes do a little bit better job at having the gameplay be more involved.
I haven't seen any of the. So I assumed it was the same.
I can show you a little
style
bit
of
before you
gameplay.
leave.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean,
This is just straight up action. Like
yeah, it's straight up action. Like you do level up, and your stats go up a little bit when you level up, but they always go up by the same amount. So it's like I don't know. It's like everything goes up +2 every level. It's just like
yeah, that's
your health goes up the same amount every level. Your attack goes up +2. Your defense goes up +2. Like it's just it feels like they were like they made this action game. They're like, guys, we
just gotta add some RPG
put some
elements
XP,
into it.
put some XP elements in here. I don't know.
But I guess on the good side,
I would say
you're
it's
really
mixed.
enjoying the story. it
Yeah,
sounds
I
like.
would say it's like mixed. Like I'm definitely this isn't what I'm not getting out of Final Fantasy 16 what I want to get out of it, but I'm enjoying enough of it. I would say like this isn't me giving a final review score right now, but if you press me to give it, I would probably give it like a 7.
Okay.
Like I like it. There's things I'm enjoying about it. I don't see the game getting much better. There's some really awesome cinematics and really epic shit going on in this game though.
That's cool.
So it's cool, but the gameplay just again, I'm usually sitting right here and I'll have like a YouTube video propped up on my phone, sitting like right here
You're
as
just
I'm
tapping
playing.
buttons.
Yeah, I'm just like square.
Okay.
Maybe I'm playing the game wrong though. I don't know. I don't think I am though, because I'm not really super challenged. I haven't died yet.
Okay.
In fact, I barely use my healing items.
All right.
So, and I'm playing on like the combat difficulty. When you start the game, it's like, are you playing for the story or are you playing for the combat? And I'm like, I'm playing for the combat because I know the story will be the same either way.
Yeah.
For me, that's the normal difficulty is for combat.
And it's the only two options for difficulty.
I think there was like a third option, but like I'm always gonna play a game on the default normal difficulty. Like that's how I play games. Like I'm never not like I'm going to play games on the harder difficulty for like achievements and stuff. But like first time I sit down and play a game, in my opinion, the normal difficulty is this is how the developers intended you to pick up the game and play the game on your first playthrough.
Okay.
Otherwise, they would make the normal difficulty harder or easier.
There's only a few games where I go directly to hard when the Arkham
Yeah,
games.
I just don't.
After the first Arkham game, every Arkham game after that, I went immediately to hard.
Okay. I mean, everyone's different. That's just
Diablo,
how
I play on harder difficulty, but yeah, most of the time I do normal difficulty.
Right. All right. Well, this has been episode 52 of the Game Room Podcast. Thank you to everyone hanging out with us here tonight. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Really helps us out because we're trying to grow this channel. While you're here, go ahead and check out last week's episode where we talk about a bunch of cool stuff, like the smash hit that is Pal World.
We're gonna be talking more about that. I feel like.
Yeah, it's gonna be ongoing. It's gonna be ongoing.
Also, Discord.
Yes. So we have launched our Discord. It is available. If you
Link
go
is in the
into the description, you can join our Discord. We will be talking ad nauseum about video games. We have we have the Xbox chat, the Nintendo chat, PlayStation chat.
There's a channel in there. I think you have to delete. I mean, it's not going to get used much. It's probably be empty for a long time. You might want to just delete that one. It's just
no. I think all the tabs in there, all the channels in there are important. Oh, the sports one. Like, look, it's just in there because we like the Eagles.
No. I think it's above the sports one.
I don't know which one you're talking
really
about.
quick.
Yeah, go ahead. You can show me. I don't know which one you're talking about. But anyways, join our Discord. We're gonna have a lot of fun there. I know Forrest is already in there. I know Ty's already
something
in there.
like Devereaux's wrong. I don't like. I don't think that's gonna get. It's gonna be empty for a while. It's just
No. That's the.
It's a technicality.
Okay, all right.
I wouldn't worry about that.
All right, yeah, it's not going to get used much.
It's going to
but
get used, but...
we'll put something in there. I guess memes or something. That's the meme one or something, you know? Like...
Anyways, yeah, if you want to be a part of the conversation, you should definitely join the Discord. Dev's going to get more involved in Discord. And, yeah, we're going to have good times. But until next time, we'll catch you guys later. So, Dev, here's the thing, right? Last week, you ended the stream before I could let you know what I really feel about you. Okay? And I